Hey guys, welcome to this Smackdown review as we cover everything that you need to know from tonight's show. We begin with a graphic that confirms that Wargames is going to be Bloodline against Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre, and a mystery fifth person. We would find out who that person was at the end of the show. Going forward, we've got our first promo. Sheamus said he's heard people complaining that Drew had sided with Sheamus because, of course, they have been lifelong enemies. But he said that because of everything they've been through together, it has forged a mutual respect. He even said that Drew was his best man at his wedding 3 weeks ago. I think Drew joked that it was about time. And you could see that they're great friends. Obviously, they're great friends in real life, but they're just trying to explain why they're working together now after being involved in such heated feuds in the past. And I thought it was a good explanation saying that there is a mutual respect. Basically, he wouldn't want anyone else standing by his side. And that was good. So it was decent. We also got Butch coming out saying Wargames, doing the William Regal part. William Regal, of course, used to do that down in NXT. Butch getting the opportunity to say it on the main roster. Sami Zayn would come out, and Sami was so funny here. He was basically saying, you don't stand a chance of beating us. We're not scared about you. He said, people call me lots of different things. They call me the honorary Uce. They call me Sami Uso. They call me Ucey in the sky with diamonds, which was my absolute favorite. That really cracked me up. And basically, the Brawling Brutes said, you're not going to believe who our partner is. You are going to be shocked when you find out later. So that was the end of that promo. We went to our first match. This first match was really good. It was in the World Cup. It was Ricochet against Mustafa Ali. My only complaint here, and it is really unfair of me to point out the one complaint I've got. My only complaint is the finish. So Ricochet went up top, and you can see the position here. Ali is on his feet, and Ricochet hits a shooting star press. It's really impressive to see that move, but from a match point of view, it doesn't make the most sense because Ali had to actually start leaning backwards in order to take the move. So just a little criticism of the finish. It was impressive. The crowd seemed to enjoy it, but I just thought it wasn't the right move for that moment in the match. Really, Ali should have been down on the ground. He shouldn't have been standing at this point. He should have been laid down in order to take a shooting star press. So that's my only criticism, and I'll be the first to admit it's really unfair of me to pick out the one criticism in that match. But it was a good match. And this took us to about half an hour into the show. Next backstage, we got Sami cracking up Jey again. Jey corpsed. So basically, Sami left and because he was getting shouted at by Jey for stirring up trouble. And he was like, I only went out there to basically say that we were going to win. And basically, he walked away, but he came back and he did his special handshake with Jimmy. And you can see Jey's reaction to that. Jey just can't keep a straight face when Sami's around. He was constantly having to try and hide behind Sami. It was brilliant. People in the live watch along really enjoyed that moment. We also got a moment here between Imperium and New Day. Imperium called New Day clowns. Basically, New Day turned around. I think they called Gunther Lurch from the Addams family. Little bit of back and forth here, but it all led to a 6-person tag, and we would find out who the New Day's partner would be later in the show. And it's interesting because it really could point towards a future feud for Gunther. Then we went backstage. We got Madcap. He was talking, and Emma arrived. You might remember Emma seemingly has got a little crush on Madcap. She wished him luck. She said, look, use your speed. He might have the strength advantage, but use your speed. He was saying that he felt embarrassed 3 weeks ago when he got choked out, and he's not been able to talk very well since. So she was like, look, I've got you back. And she gave him a bottle of water. And clearly she's got feelings for Mr. Moss. Sadly, Madcap would lose. He would go out there and, there was some outside interference by Scarlett. Emma took her time coming down. I thought she could have come down a bit quicker, dealt with Scarlett. Instead, she came down after the match. Karrion was walking away. Scarlett was walking away. Emma came down. This feels like it's built into a mixed tag match, and I'm not against it at all. I think it's good for Madcap and for Emma. Gives them credible opponents, gives Karrion something to do as well if he's not going to be around Roman or have a big feud with Drew anymore. Gives them something to do. And could mean that we get to see Scarlett actually competing. So, yeah, I'm down for this. I think this is all right. Big segment next. This was the Bray segment. We've already done a separate video on this. I'm not going to go in as much detail as a result. Bray came out to make amends. He basically said that he looks at his past and he regrets a lot of things. He wanted to apologize to LA Knight. LA Knight comes out, says he's been thinking about last week. Obviously, he got headbutted. He's been thinking about last week, and it's been playing on his mind. But considering Bray is now apologizing, he is a bit conflicted. So he gets into the ring and he slaps Bray Wyatt. He slaps him. What he says then is, we are even. Bray actually accepts that and is like, okay, what you're about to do next is going to be really important. It will decide the rest of your life. Bray puts his hand out and wants to shake hands with LA Knight. LA Knight slaps him again. LA Knight slaps Bray twice, and look at the look on Bray's face. Look at that. That gives me Uncle Howdy vibes. You can see he has gone to a different place mentally here. And that would really show itself later in the show. Backstage, we got Karrion confronting the Usos, but in the background, you can see Bray Wyatt. Now, there will be a lot of talk. Is Bray talking to someone? Is he talking to himself? I think he's talking to himself. Reason why I think that is because I think if there was someone there, you'd probably see them through the boxes. They could be stood behind Karrion, and Karrion could be just obscuring them. There's enough doubt to make it a conversation, but I think what we see next makes me think that Bray was talking to himself. I think what was happening here was the good side of Bray was really struggling with the darker side of Bray, and there was a real argument going on that was actually showing itself in the background of this segment. And we would see the dark side of Bray in a moment. Next up, though, we went to Shotzi versus Shayna Baszler. Lots of outside interference in this match from Ronda Rousey. Shotzi would actually get the win when Raquel came down. Raquel would provide a distraction, and it allowed Shotzi to hit her finishing move, get the win over Shayna. Quite a surprise victory. The only thing I would say, though, is that she is the next challenger for Ronda at Survivor Series. So building Shotzi up does make a lot of sense at the moment. I can't remember if I think they might have announced it. I was just about to say it would make sense if we see a tag match, but I think they did announce it. We'll have a look. Might have that graphic later. Next, here we go. Look at that. How awesome is that? So in the background, LA Knight was leaving. He got asked, are you leaving because you're scared of Bray? And he was like, no. But as he opened the door, Bray in the mask, in the background. That is sick. That is sick. There'll be some speculation as well that might not be Bray. I'm sure all of these little swerves are going to be considered. I feel the story is Bray was talking to himself. The dark side of Bray won. He was wearing the mask that I believe is the same mask that we saw when he debuted at Extreme Rules and he first came out in a mask. I think that's Bray. I think that's the dark side of Bray. I think he's wearing the mask and he beats up LA Knight. That would show itself. After the break, we would come back and all of this stuff piled on top of LA Knight. Look at that. Kegs of beer and chairs and metalwork and LA Knight out absolutely cold. But yes, there may be a conversation to be had of who is behind the mask. But to be honest, I feel like it's Bray. I really feel like that's Bray. I don't feel like that's a conversation we need to engage in too much. But I'm open to theories. Next, we got the reveal of New Day's partner, and it was Braun. It was Braun Strowman. Strowman came down. This is significant because it really teases Braun and Gunther. Braun is in the tournament for the World Cup. Winner gets a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. So it does feel like it could be Braun and Gunther. It does feel like Braun could be the winner of the World Cup. Even Braun was getting a bit carried away. New Day and Braun would win. Braun would actually chase Gunther out of the ring. It was not the kind of thing you see from Gunther, see him running away from someone. Backstage, Braun was obviously very pleased with how that had gone. And Ricochet approached him. Ricochet is going to be Braun's next opponent in that tournament. And he basically said, don't look too far ahead. Us flippity-flip guys, we have still got we can cause some problems kind of a thing. That obviously plays back to a few comments that played out on social media. Braun gave a little smile to that. So, this was a fun little interaction. And flippy flippers is, I think, what Ricochet said there, and sets up a very tasty encounter, which I do expect Braun to win. But, this was cool. Then we got a glimpse at WrestleMania week, so we can see SmackDown and Hall of Fame are going to both be on Friday, March 31st. Then we've got NXT Stand and Deliver. That's going to be midday Eastern time on the Saturday. And then, of course, on the night time, WrestleMania goes Hollywood day 1. And then on the Sunday, WrestleMania goes Hollywood day 2. And then on the Monday Night Raw. So we got a glimpse as to what WrestleMania is going to look like. I think it's exactly the same as last year. Then here we go, next week. So not only have we got Butch, who was victorious in the main event, spoiler. He will be taking on Santos Escobar next week. I think we've got Braun Ricochet as well. We've got Shotzi and Raquel taking on Ronda and Shayna. And this was announced as well, which is interesting. Drew and Sheamus taking on the Usos in an advantage match. Who's going to have the advantage as they head into Wargames? Main event time. So it was Sami Zayn against Butch. And as I've already said, Butch was victorious. There was so much outside interference here. Loads of outside interference. So it was a case that Butch was able to pick up the victory. With about 8 minutes left to go, Roman Reigns came out. Didn't know that Roman was there. This was really cool. Roman Reigns came out. He started clearing house, man. Started Superman punching everyone. But that's when the 5th member made themselves known. Roman, you can see the shocked expression on his face as Kevin Owens returned. Kevin Owens, who we just haven't seen a great deal of in recent times. It was heavily rumored that he was going to be the person to join that team. And so it proved. I think the only doubt was the fact that he had picked up an injury recently, but clearly that was not enough to keep him out. And so Kevin Owens came back and went after Roman. There was actually a confrontation between him and Sami. Sami didn't do anything, but this did provide Roman the opportunity to hit a Superman punch. But of course, it was Kevin Owens that ended the show standing tall. And that was SmackDown. Loads of stuff in this week's episode. Really enjoyable episode. Loved the Bray stuff. Loved the fact that we got the in-ring segment. Then we saw him backstage. Then we saw the mask, which was cool. Then we saw what happened to LA Knight. So I felt like there was quite a bit of Bray stuff here. Loved the mystery of who was going to be the 5th person. That was fun. Obviously pays off big time at the end. Braun and Gunther is a really interesting feud. Madcap and Emma, I'm really into that. The World Cup, that's all right. I'm not crazy about the World Cup, SmackDown World Cup, to be honest, but it's all right. It gives matches meaning, and I do appreciate that. I thought this was a really solid episode. I'd be looking at about a 7.75. I really would. Some people would probably be up in the 8s. I feel like it's really solid, and I would say, dare I say, better than usual. Certainly well above average. But I feel like a 7.75 is fair. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Really appreciate the support as always. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.